Okay, so welcome to the continuation of yesterday's Inside Real Estate Strategy session about building out a webinar funnel. Just know that insiderealestate.com/webinars is where you can find the replays of these. Insiderealestate.com/Facebook group is where you can see the Facebook group. And yeah, yesterday what we did was we started building out. I kind of showed the mechanics of building out a webinar and kind of give some tactical tips for how I go about doing this. I build kind of a bare bone designed webinar out the first time with a ready, fire, aim approach, where it's basically each slide is a bullet point and each bullet point has sub bullet points, and that you can kind of fill time and provide a lot of value to people using these webinars. So my thesis is that, and I've lived this for about 10 years, is that if you do live events like the one you're sitting on now, or if you're watching the replay and you deliver this content, you naturally attract good customers, people who want to work with you, to you. So what we did yesterday is we built out the slides. Check out insiderealestate.com/webinars. If you missed that session, you can find it in the playlist. It was October 27th, if you're watching the replay. And then today, what I'd like to do is kind of start promoting this, like do the nuts and bolts of getting the registration page live, turn on some traffic to it, maybe if we have time. So I'm going to show you the next steps that I would take in the promotional cycle of this, and we'll tie it all up to KV Core. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask in the chat. And I'll just get going. So what I'm going to be using is Zoom. I think we're all very familiar with Zoom right now, right? So Zoom is kind of the tool to use. To do webinars, you may need a premium account, but this approach works so well. I'd say that if you're going to go create webinars and do them, it's worth investing in a Zoom account. So let's get that out of the way. I think there are free trials or free Zoom accounts you can use, or other registration webinar platforms out there. You're welcome to use whatever you want, but I'm going to do my example in Zoom. So let's go into Zoom now. Right here, I'm going to go to webinars, and you can see I have this one that you're sitting on now. I have it all scheduled up, and I'm going to simply schedule my webinar. So what was the name of this? Well, I'll just take my first slide here. Right, and then I will put the name in. So I'm creating the registration event, and I'm going to use the landing page from Zoom as the thing that I use to get people to register for the webinar and to drive leads. And I'm going to take those leads and put them in the KV Core. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So join us for a detailed session about how you might go about buying your first investment property in Pinellas County. Now, I like to put some bullets to kind of sell and get people excited. We'll talk about, right? And then what I could do is I could take some of the bullets, right, like this, and make them talking points in my registration. So I'm going to take that one. That one, right? You've kind of already built the content out for all of this. You just need to kind of preview what's going to go in there. This one, like so. So I'll just leave it like this. How to find a great deal, right? And then the editor here is a little limited, so I like to use like little arrows like that for bullet points. Now I'm just getting nitpicky, right? But we'll do that. And then we're going to choose the time that we do these. And I recommend you choose a time that you can recur with, where you want to get your audience and the people who are following your webinar series used to kind of showing up and getting this info at the same time every month. You don't have to do this or every week, but I'll go ahead and schedule mine for, let's just say that I'm going to do my webinars Thursdays at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. And I think this is probably good when people aren't in work, right? You have a better chance of getting them to attend. It's probably going to be good practice to do your webinars outside of work hours, you know, for real estate. When people are kind of sitting at home, they're going to choose to watch your webinar instead of watching TV, or their wife's going to be watching something boring on TV and they're going to have you on with headphones, right? In the other thing, like a lot of us do. So I'll choose that. My time, my duration is an hour, pretty easy. If you want, this is what I do. You could schedule a recurring webinar and have it be like a generic, like real estate, you know, Pinellas County real estate webinar, and just every week have a new topic like I do with these sessions. That is an option. I'm going to do registration required. I'm not going to require a passcode. And then video, you can be on camera or not. I'll go ahead and do on. You can always change this later. And then my webinar options will automatically record on the local computer, so I don't forget. I'll enable Q&A. This is question and answer if people want to ask you questions while they're on. And then I never noticed this with Zoom. It's interesting. You can make it a webinar on demand so that the replay is always available. So that's interesting. I need to play with that more. but that would be cool. It kind of automatically records it for you. Then you'll have a link to send the replay. I don't personally use that, but that is very interesting. So I'll do that. And then click to schedule. And then once you click to schedule, you'll see that you get registration links right here. And some other options, such as you can configure the emails that go out. You can change your branding. You can ask a poll or a survey and do some other things that I won't get too deep into right now. But we'll do a basic invite. Just know that you can do some other stuff to tweak your webinar. One thing I will call out and highlight is that you can make sure you guys are seeing my screen, right? I'm not seeing the screen share. I'm going to assume you are. Somebody would say something to me, but the registration link, I'll call out the fact that you can actually add tracking. So if you do like a Facebook ad, you can click add and it would create a new link. And you can see how many registrations you got from a source if you're going to be promoting the webinar. So just mention that right there. But that's it. Another cool thing that Zoom does, keep in mind, is you can get a list of all your attendees after all. So if you're using a good webinar platform like Zoom, there's cool things. You can see who registered. You can see who also showed up for the webinar. But I've got that part done. That was the first step. I've got my registration link. I can go here and pop it into my browser just to test it out. And you can see this is what people will see. They can now register for my webinar. Now, in my corporate account here, we have kind of some default questions on, so I'll have to clean that up. It's always really, really weird to find that and fix it. But there's some additional questions that it asks you that you might want to have on by default. So if you want to, you can make your questions related to them. You know, if you can imagine, we have ours here. It's just interest institution for agents. You could say, hey, are you a first-time buyer? Do you own a house or rent? You could ask some questions like that in the process of creating your links. So I'll just mention that there. I'll fix that later. Honestly, I always have the hardest time finding out where those pesky questions are every time I have to go in. It's like buried in the navigation here somewhere. Maybe it was this one. No. Yeah, it drives me nuts, but I'll find that later and clean it up. So that's it. You create your webinar link right there. And now what you've got something that you can promote. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that anytime somebody registers for this webinar registration page through Zoom, I'm going to push it into KV Core via Zapier.com. So that's the next thing I wanted to show you. So I'm going to say, hey, anytime somebody registers, I want the lead to go into KV Core. So now let's open up Zapier. Thought I had that open already. Let's go ahead and do it. Or Zapier, however you say it. I always get called out. I say it both ways, but people always remind me I'm saying it wrong. I forget which one's wrong now. All right, so let's go into our Zaps. I'm going to first make sure that I have KV Core connected. So you can see here in my apps, I went in before this session. I went into my lead engine in KV Core, and I added my Zapier key to Zapier. So I basically clicked here. It opened up Zapier for me. And then it asked me eventually for my key, and I imported that. So we have documentation about how to do that. I don't want this to turn this into a Zapier session full on, but just know that you can follow the instructions here and you can tie Zapier up to KV Core. Now, once you've got that, you're going to click Make a New Zap. And I'm going to choose Zoom as my source Zap. So anytime somebody registers for this webinar, my first time Pinellas County Real Estate Investors webinar, they're going to go into KV Core. So I'm going to do new registrant, continue. I'll choose the Zoom account, which I connected prior, but it's the same thing as hooking up KV Core. Zoom is actually really easy to connect. As long as you're logged into Zoom, it'll just naturally, you'll click a button and it'll do it for you. It's like magic. It works really well. So that's what I did prior. There's nothing really for you to see there. Just you know, it'll ask you to add a new account. And when you do, it'll just know you're logged into Zoom. So we'll hit continue. It's asking which webinar. So you see I have that option, my first time Pinellas County Investors webinar. Continue. And now what that'll do is it'll take any test data that's in there and send it over. And I am going to do a test lead. Again, you can get rid of these fields here. Just get that. So I just want to do that so that there's some test data in there. Should have done that before going into Zapier. But customize new registrant, fields. And I'd like for it to pull in. Good. And you can see here where it pulled in the email that I just put in, the test lead and everything. So next thing I'll do is I'll hit continue. And I'll go and I'll pull up the Actions app, right? The Action app, which is KV Core. So I'll go KV Core. I've already connected it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a contact. Every time somebody registers for this webinar, I'll choose my KV Core account that I've connected. And now what I do, for those of you who know, you just start mapping the fields. So I click inside the box and it pulls up all the fields that are coming over from Zoom. Choose type buyer, last name, email, like so. And then what I can do, I can name the form. I can say webinar registration. I think I can just do that. Source Zoom webinar, right? Hashtag, where's that at? Source, I'm not getting the address. Now, if I was doing a webinar about selling your house, I could maybe collect the address on registration. Here's the tags, and I'll say webinar, and then I'll call this first time investor with commas, so that when the lead comes in, then I'll know that that's what it was for, and I'll be able to set automations accordingly. Test and continue. A test contact was sent to KV Core. Turn on the Zap. And then I'll know that it worked by hopping into KV Core, looking at my Smart CRM, and I'm hoping that I see this test lead sitting right up top here. Not quite yet. Could be because I used the fake email. Let me see here. Don't you love it, Ernest?
Oh yeah. If you're already in the system, or if that test lead's already in there, it just updates contact.
I've probably used that before, but yeah. Basically, you would see it in there. What I would do is, if I wasn't live with you guys now, I would just go do it again with another email. But you get the point. Go look for the lead. It should be in there. It could also be just taking a second. But I probably have used that test email before. Is most likely the case. So now what I've got is I've got a landing page. Where's it at, right? So I've got a landing page built in Zoom. These are going to convert pretty well too, because people trust Zoom. Like they're going for the information. It feels like a webinar registration page. People are used to doing that. So if you drive traffic to this, they typically do pretty well. Let's see right here. And now I've built the Zap so that anytime somebody registers, they're going into my KV Core platform. And honestly, I would really, really like, let me see, another webinar test. I really like for it to come in so you guys can see it. Webinar test. Oh, the other thing is I'm using not my premium Zapier account. I launched, I used another login, which is my free account. And maybe there may be a delay there because the Zaps can take a little longer. I'm not sure. Anyway, what I wanted to show you was that the lead will come in with that hashtag. Here it is. See test lead right here? It did come in, source Zoom webinar. And from here, I can do, this is important because I can set some automations. I might set up an automated hashtag alert since I know that it's Pinellas Investors, right? I might go into and say, hey, anybody who registers for this webinar, I'm going to go into Marketing Autopilot. I'll go to search alerts, and anybody who registers with the hashtag webinar or first time investor, oops. Guys, I'm really sorry. I'm searching. I need help. I'm searching existing alerts, but not clicking to add a new one. Which reminds me, if you never need help, I was supposed to plug this today. Don't forget to check out the new support portal at support.insiderealestate.com. I forgot to mention that. The new portal at support.insiderealestate.com. Pardon us for this exclusive commercial break in the middle of the strategy session. All kidding aside, we do have a nice new support center here, guys, with lots of resources. So that's support.insiderealestate.com. All right, so continuing on. Investor, first time investor. Anytime I get that hashtag, I'll do the whole county because my webinar is about the county. So I'll just type that in, the county name, and then I'll choose some property types that are related to investing, right? So maybe I'll pick listing types, income, for example, or I'd pick foreclosures. And I would just click and add that alert so that anybody who signs in is getting content and properties related to the content of the webinar I did. So that alert is set up. The other thing, of course, that I can do is as I get a bunch of registrations, I'll be able to go and I'll be able to send to everybody in my webinar or first time investor tag. I'll be able to send them the replay because I'll be able to check them off and send a mass email and send them a link to the replay as a follow-up. You know, I'll be able to maybe invite them to future webinars that have similar content, or if I run an encore, I can invite them to that. So definitely want to make sure as you zap them in that they're hashtagged. So that's that. I've kind of got the infrastructure built now for my funnel. The other thing I could do is I could automate it even more. I could set up a smart campaign that on day 2 sends them a link to my blog to watch the replay. And this is next level, where I would just automatically know that I'm going to post my replay to my blog, and I would have an email go out day 2 and say, hey, you can find the replay over here on my blog, and send them a link to my blog and know that the post is there to save a little bit of work. So lots you can do from an automation perspective on the follow-up of these leads. Okay, and then the final thing that I was thinking we do today is we do some promotion of the webinar. So the very first kind of step is related to what I was just talking about. I can take my registration link right here. Right here. And remember, I could add a separate source to it if I really wanted to track and get granular and know that it's where the registration are coming from. But I can just go in and I can tag everybody in my KV Core database, or everybody who's a buyer, or everybody who I've gotten in the last few months, whatever I want to do to filter, and I can send an email. And my email will be first time investors webinar. First time Pinellas County. Right, and that email might look like, hi, right? I can merge in their name. My first name. If you've ever thought about investing in real estate and you think you might want to acquire a property in Pinellas County, then you might like the webinar we're doing tomorrow night, Thursday, 10/28 at 9 p.m. Right? The topic is first time Pinellas County's investors webinar. Click here. Click the following link to register and join. Oops, forget my link again. Even if you can't make it live, register anyway, and I'll send you the replay. Also feel free to forward this email to any friends or relatives who might be interested in this topic. So that's kind of a good template. You know, you kind of, I like to start with like, if you've ever done this. So it's kind of like an if then. If you've ever done X, thought about doing this, then you might like the thing that we're doing tomorrow night. So this is a good first sentence lead in. I made sure that I put the time in. I mentioned the topic. Sorry about the phone. I mentioned the topic, and then I give them the link to register. And then good form, I could just do, thanks, Ryan, PS, here's that link. Again, this is kind of just internet marketing, kind of, I don't know, best practices. You know, you give them the link again in the PS, so make sure they click it. So, you know, this kind of email rather than have it be something generic, send your people something generic like, hey, I've got my CR, I got my designations. I'm awesome. How you doing? This is by sending something like this every week or once a month, you're inviting them to a live event that delivers a lot of value. You're going to have a very, very low unsubscribe or complaint rate. The only thing you might get is, hey, I'm not really thinking about buying a property ever. Like I'm just not interested at all in real estate. And you might get some unsubscribes for that. But otherwise, you're pulling people on to a registration here. And then you're going to hold them captive for 30 to 60 minutes, as I said yesterday, around some content that positions you as an expert, of what you're doing in the local market. So that's your first source of traffic, is to just mass email everybody who's in your database who you think would be interested. You could just send it to everybody. It's not a big deal. This, depending on the webinar topic, I think I might just send this to everybody or just separate it out. So if you guys want, would you find it useful if I gave you this here? I'll give you this template if you want it. So I'll just, for those of you watching live, let me just open up file, save as Ryan's webinar template, invite template. I'll try to include this for anybody watching the replay. There we go. No problem, Mike. Sorry I'm going so fast. It's just habit. How do I attach a file? I can't attach a file? Ugh. All right, guys. On the YouTube replay, for those of you watching live, I'll just put it in the description, okay? Because it won't let me attach a file to Zoom. I didn't realize I couldn't do that. I probably can somehow. Let's see. I don't see how. Ugh. Gotta be a way. Anyway, it'll be in the replay, but that's kind of the format. You can do this now. With the beauty of this, as I've talked about, you can do the invite every week. You can do the reminder 1 hour before. And in fact, Zoom does that for you. You guys probably get that from me. And then the next day you can send a third email that sends them the replay. And all three of those emails don't feel very spammy. They're just focused on this event where you're going to give them cool info. So it's an excuse to be in touch that many times a week. And if you could do this once a month, a couple times a month, your name is in lights around, again, I'm beating a dead horse, but your name is in lights. You're getting them onto a live event. You're engaging around real content. Okay, so that's the first item of promotion. Send some emails. You can do almost the same exact thing in a Facebook ad, right? So I could go like this. I can go into my pay-per-click account for Facebook. So I'll go into my Facebook account here. And I'll click create. We'll do a traffic ad. So I'm just going to drive traffic directly to that Zoom registration page. And the content of my ad could literally be that email. So let's keep on going here. I need to pick my special category because this is about real estate. So I'll choose real estate, housing. I'll leave all these options as is. Ad set name, we'll just say local Pinellas. Now, this would be a good retargeting ad. I might split this up between a retargeting audience for everybody who's visited my site, and I might do a separate one that's wider to the whole market for lead generation. You can do it both ways or do it both within the same ad set if you want. I'll run my daily budget. I might set a start and end date here because the event is going to expire, right? So, so I might only run it for the next 24 hours, more or less, right? Like that. It wants lifetime. Yes, I forgot they want you to do that. So it's going to run for 1 day and I'm going to spend 20 bucks, whatever. Okay. And then my audiences, I'm just going to choose a location and we'll just do the whole county. Like so. And because we're in real estate, oh, are they letting me? I was going to say, are they letting me do the age? They are not. I was like, it's weird because I see the age option there now with their new kind of interface, but yeah, you can't do that. I could add some detailed targeting. I think you can sneak in like real estate investing. You can enter some other interests in there that might be available. Really, I'm just going to leave it pretty broad. Hit next. And now we'll get to the ad section. I got to choose a page. Per opportunity knocks. choose that page. Could run it on Instagram if I want. And in my ad creative, I mean, I don't really see any harm like this. I could just do that, right? And just copy in the email. Kind of like this. And then I just need a cool image, a fun image. Here's where I tend to spend a little bit of time, but maybe I'll go to my favorite tool here, ImageFlip, my meme generator. Find something. I was going to say I was going to use Robert Kiyosaki for this one, but probably better not to. Oh, here's a good one. Stocks, real estate. Here we go. This is one of my favorite memes, right? Stocks. I could do bonds, stocks, real estate, right? Something like that. Here, we'll do it in reverse order, in order of coolness. We'll do it like this. We'll diss crypto. That is really the other way around. All right. This is an editorial. All right. So we'll do this. So I'm doing like an engaging meme for the, I'm going on a little tangent here. You don't have to do this, but I'm doing for the image creative. I'm doing something that maybe people will like talk about, you know? So. And sorry. Just taking a screenshot. I have to save it to my hard drive. Okay, there we go. And now I can upload it as an image with my ad. Like so. So slow. When we're on a webinar, Facebook acts really slow, so hit done. So that's kind of a fun one for a real estate investing theme, right? And then my headline will be first time real estate investors webinar. I probably should have, now that I think about this, for the actual business page that I use, it's probably best to use, if you're going to be doing a lot of these and you want kind of the market to know who you are and you're doing webinars on a regular basis. I missed an opportunity here. I should probably use the local brokerage name, you know, because it kind of becomes a, if you can see it says Property Knox there, it becomes kind of a sub headline. So, you know, when I actually do this, I'll probably do that. I'll use the brokerage name. And then my website URL, what is it? Well, it's just simply the registration link. And you'll remember earlier that I did create, you know, we do have the option to create a special source link. So I might do that here. I just went and grabbed that one for my URL. So kind of adds a little parameter to it. But like that. Okay. So I know that watching this live, this might seem overwhelming or like it's a lot of work, but it really isn't once you get the flow down. You know, you can, it's worth the time. If you spend an hour preparing all this, you do the slides ahead of time, you get a couple of ads live, you send it to you might be an hour, even if you're 2 hours in, it's kind of like promoting an open house, really, right? It's the same kind of promotional sequence. You have to get ready for it, and then you have to run advertising for it. I think that the rewards though are plentiful. Again, you're going to be interacting with people live. It's a really high quality lead, somebody registering for this webinar and then showing up to the webinar. So then you just click publish and you're good to go. So I'll hit publish. I'm not quite ready for this to go live, but I'll then go back and refine everything, make sure that I have everything right after we're done here today, and I'll probably let it go. So publish it. And then I'm just going to cut my ad off so it doesn't run until I make sure it's right. Yes, it's definitely being recorded, Dan. So I put all the recordings at insiderealestate.com/webinars. So you guys can find yesterday's webinar. The first part of this where I created the actual slides, you'll find that right here. So yeah, that's kind of it. You know, we didn't touch KV Core too much in the actual creation of the funnel, but KV Core is one of those systems that is open. It interfaces with a lot of different things through Zapier, through our APIs, everything else we have going on. And I was able to easily build a landing page on Zoom, and now I can push those leads into KV Core and do my invites and do my, you know, follow up, my automatic hashtag alerts, everything through KV Core. So that's the broad strokes. Anybody have any questions about this process? Any feedback? Tomorrow, I have a buddy of mine who does a lot of stuff about podcasting, and I asked him if he would come on and just talk a little bit about podcasting. I think I had him on like 4 years ago, but he's doing some interesting stuff. He's gotten a few real estate clients lately, and I said, hey, why don't you come on and talk about what you're doing for real estate podcasting again. So at 12 noon tomorrow on Thursday, we'll have that content about podcasting. It's kind of similar to this approach. You're creating with a webinar, you're creating video content. With a podcast, you're creating audio, and you know, you might decide that one is better than the other for whatever reason. Another thing I've seen people do is turn their webinars into podcasts. What's so funny, Mike? You got it all? I'm sorry it's fast. I get that feedback, but it's just, you know, it's style. I don't know. I get positive feedback and negative, so I'm sorry for the speed. Just watch me. You know how to watch in slow-mo, right? Everybody, just go like this. Here we go. Computer. Here we go, right here. Settings, playback speed. And here's what I'll sound like. Okay, welcome. All right. So, all right, guys. Thank you for showing up today. Be sure to share this with your office, anybody you think this might be useful for. Again, these webinar funnels, you can do them with a partner. You can do them as a whole office. You can get your lender involved. You can get your home inspector involved. You know, any professional you work with, they'd probably be thrilled to come on if you put this all together and give you free content. You can kind of interview anybody you work with, your title person, you know, your lender, anybody, contractors, so many different possibilities. Just check out some of the previous replays I've done about webinars for inspiration and ideas, and check out the Facebook group at insiderealestate.com/Facebook group if you have any questions or about this content or any ideas that you want to share related to it. Okay, thanks guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.